Hi, I'm Chief Gary Sparks with the Douglasville Police Department. Today we want to give you some safety tips concerning traffic stops. Take a look.
So you look in your rear view mirror and see flashing blue lights. What do? Remain calm. Yield to the right and pull your vehicle over into an off-road area that is safe for both you and the officer. Put your car in park. Remove your foot from the brake and turn the radio off. Remain in your vehicle. Have your driver's license readily available for the officer. Keep your hands on the steering wheel, visible for the officer at all times. If you need to retrieve any items from the interior, explain what you're reaching for to the officer and avoid any sudden movements. Rolling the window down completely establishes a level of trust with the officer and allows for ease of interaction during the routine traffic stop. Be courteous and polite. Be cooperative and willing to follow the officer's instructions. During a routine traffic stop, the officer will return to his vehicle to run the tag and driver's license verification and complete a citation if one is necessary. Once the officer returns and approaches your vehicle, whether or not a citation or warning is issued, please remain calm, courteous, and cooperative. Sign the citation acknowledging you agree to appear in court, and do not dispute the citation with the officer. The officer will give you a court date to explain or defend your infraction.
Okay, ma'am. Like I told you, I did clock you at 51 in a 35 mile per hour speed zone. I did issue a citation, okay? This here is going to be your court date. I just need a signature from you stating that you received a copy of this citation, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Here's your driver license.
Thank you.
Along with a copy of the citation, okay? Do you have any questions or concerns for me?
No, sir.
Okay, well, you have a nice day, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Following these few simple steps will help ensure a safe interaction for both you and the officer.
I hope these few tips help you as it relates to dealing with law and traffic stops. But in all encounters with law enforcement, we hope that all our encounters are safe for the citizens as well as for our officers. Again, we want you to be safe, and if you have any problems with the Douglasville Police Department, don't hesitate to give us a call and make your concerns known. I would add that Georgia is a right to carry state, and we hope that if you are carrying, that on these traffic stops and all encounters, please let the officer know that you are carrying. This will ensure your safety and our officers' safety. Thank you, may God bless you, and may God keep our community safe. We are one.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Elmer Horn with Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and we're here at one of our communities, and Sheriff Pounds is here with us. And Sheriff Pounds is very involved in his communities, and he come out. We brought out our grill and our smoker so we can come out and help cook for this community. And Sheriff Pounds himself has come out and helped cook with us, and he's here to cook and help these folks today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the programs that I call taking my community back. If you don't get out there and get involved in your community, you ain't gonna be able to get it back. And the sad part about it, we losing our young men at such a pace that it's unreal. We got to come up with something that will help us with these children. Got to. So this is what I'm doing. I love it. I'm out here in the sun. It's hot, but like I said earlier, we're gonna do these until we get that gap between law enforcement and the community bridge. We're gonna bridge that gap because we're gonna get out of here, we're gonna shake hands, we're gonna find out if they got any kind of problem we can assist them with, and invite them to the sheriff's office and come to the roll call. Just come see what's going on at the office. Thank y'all so much for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff Pounds. And like I said, this is just one of many events that we bring this grill out to help with our communities and get involved. I'm here today at one of our community outreach days with our sound truck. And our sound truck is used for just what you see. We come out to community days, we play loud music, and be able to just have a good time with it and enjoy our community. At a sheriff's office, you get to see us in a little different light We're not always out there writing tickets or locking people up. We come out to your community day and be a part of your day and help you celebrate your community. And this is just one of the ways that we can do that, was with our sound truck. We're here today in one of our communities. We brought our ice cream truck out. A lot of people like to laugh when I say the sheriff's office owns an ice cream truck, but this is exactly what it's for, is we bring it out to our communities. We give away ice cream. We don't charge for the ice cream. The ice cream is free. And we have partners in our businesses in our community that help pay for the ice cream so that we can give it away for free. And we give it away. We go to schools. This is just one of many events that we bring our ice cream truck to. We go to the school systems. We come out to community days, block parties. We just come out and see you and help you enjoy and celebrate your community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dynasty. Welcome to TV 1061. Join our network and broadcast your event live across the continent. Come to our studio and film and stream your talk show, sitcom, showcase, and broadcast it worldwide. Combine multimedia with your live stream. Independent filmmakers, show your movie and afterwards interview your cast live. Sponsors, advertisers, I'm talking to you. This is your chance for global exposure. These are very exciting times we live in. Traditional TV is all but a thing of the past. TV 1061 is now on the Roku platform with a viewership of 46 million and counting. Roku is an industry leader in internet TV. It is the most popular and fastest growing internet TV platform. If you are interested in developing and streaming your own show or movie, or coming in as a sponsor or an advertiser, please send your contact information with a short description of your interest to 1061tv@gmail.com. Thank you. Hi.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome again to Ask Coach Roy. Tonight's show is about understanding how to structure your business entity. I know a lot of times we start a business and we say, well, we need to do a LLC so that we can protect our assets, which is true, and that's something that needs to be considered. But a lot of times we never consider the tax implications, and we never think about how much money we project to net after we've taken all of our expenses. So tonight we're going to help you to understand the difference between a couple of entities I have here on the board: a sole proprietorship, an LLC, a S corporation, and a C corp. Now, in addition to that, you have a PLLC, which is a professional LLC. You have the P corporations and so on and so forth. That's probably a little more in depth than I really want to go. I'm just trying to get everyone to realize that if you're getting ready to start a small business, there are certain things that you need to consider. And just doing an LLC and your business end up netting more than $40,000 the first year, you're probably going to lose because you're going to end up paying more taxes, or being a sole proprietorship and netting more than $40,000. So we're going to get into, first of all, explaining what is sole proprietorship. Well, sole proprietorship is simply you say, oh, I'm going to start a business, and you go to the bank, you use your social security number, ID, you open up an account in your name, you go out and you start doing business. You put the money in that bank account, you pay your expenses out of that bank account, so that's sole proprietorship. In addition to that, for tax purposes, if you put $125,000 in that account this year, and it has $25,000 worth of expenses during the course of the year, you net $100,000, then you're going to pay tax on your personal tax return based on the $100,000. And you get into percentages. So, and you have to pay certain taxes. So I know that that is 15.3% that you would end up paying on that with your self-employment tax, okay? Now, the next tax structure, and also you have no protection against your personal assets when you do a sole proprietorship. And I run into this all the time. People have been doing business for 3-4 years and they're just doing everything in their personal name. They don't have any liability insurance. They don't have any protection in the event that something happened and they get sued. They could lose their house, their car, and any of their other valuables because they didn't have any protection. So they're doing business as the business and they self. They have not separated themselves from the business or their personal assets, okay? So a lot of times we jump and we say, well, okay, I'm gonna do an LLC. And they do a LLC, and at that point, sometimes they open a bank account, sometimes they're just using Cash App, Venmo, Cash, but at the Secretary of State, they have a LLC. Well, in the event something happened, that LLC can be pierced. And the reason it can be pierced, and what I mean by pierced, they can go through it or around it because you're not operating as a LLC. You don't have the proper structure. So therefore, they don't have to treat you as an LLC in the court of law. So in addition to doing the LLC, you need to have, say, an operating agreement. You need to have a bank account in the LLC's name. You need to have an EIN number and acknowledge it as a LLC with the IRS. So those are some of the things that have to be in place. And before I go any further, let me say this too. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not an accountant, so I'm not giving you financial advice or tax advice. I'm simply giving you some information to consider and to have a little bit of understanding when you get ready to start a business so that you can reach out to your accountant or your attorney, a business attorney, so that you can get the proper structure. So some of the things that I'm telling you, you can go back and take into consideration if you're getting ready to start a business or if you're already in a business, you may need to make some changes. So you need to consult your attorney or accountant. All right, now, as I was saying, the LLC, in order to receive the benefits, then you need to act as one and have all of the things in place, okay? Now, the next entity we have is an S corporation. In an S corporation, people use them for various reasons, but the main reason they say use a S corp to help lower your self-employment taxes. That is correct, but it's a catch-22. The catch-22 is you need to project how much your net income is going to be. If you're going to use a S corp, in my opinion, you need to net more than $40,000 a year. If you do not net more than $40,000 a year, when it when you get to doing your taxes, you're probably gonna pay more in taxes and be at a loss if you're under $40,000. So, and I'm gonna touch on what you need to do what you need to consider if you make under 40. As a matter of fact, if you make under $40,000, you could do an LLC and by default, if you do not elect to be taxed as a S corp, by default you will be taxed the same way a sole proprietorship would be taxed. So basically, if you do the LLC and you have $100,000 to come in your account during the course of the year, you have $25,000 in expenses, then you're going to be taxed based on $100,000. And again, you'd end up with the self-employment tax of about 15.3%. However, if you net $100,000, you could also be an LLC and elect to be taxed as a S corp. And there's a form you fill out. I think it's a 2533. I wrote it down. The name of that form. Let's see here. I thought I wrote it down earlier. Again, I'm not a CPA, just giving you some information to help you get a understanding. Here it is. Yes, that's what it is. You could form an LLC. You know you're going to make over $40,000. So you fill out the form 2553. And that form 2553 will allow you to be taxed as an S corp. If you don't fill out the form 2553, then you will automatically be taxed as if you were a sole proprietorship. Now, I know that what I'm talking about could be a bit overwhelming, but if you just understand the basic concept of protection, then understand that the type of structure you choose is tax ramifications. And that's why you have to consult with the CPA to find out which way is best for you. But prior to talking to that CPA, you need to have an estimate of how much money you think you're going to make and what the expenses are. Now, I'm going to say this from time to time because I'm really trying to drive this home. Okay? Now, the next entity is a C corp. Now, me personally, I love the C corp. Most businesses that I do, I know I'm going to make over 40. So I somewhat default to the C corp. And the reason I default to the C corp, because I always envision one day taking one of my entities public. And I know in order to take it public, the C corp is the best entity to sell shares and things of that nature. Okay? So, but with the C corp, that one of the things that people always say is that, oh, I don't care for a C corp because you're double taxed. And that's somewhat true. However, you can avoid that depending on how much money you make. You can start with a C corp, and even though, and let's say you don't think you're going to make 40 or more that first year, you could start as a C corp and still elect to be taxed as an S corp. And that's somewhat, we'll say that's the old school way. of doing it. Because LLCs, I think they came around maybe in the 60s, and they became very popular in the 80s. And I think the actual C Corp probably was around ever since somewhere in the 1800s. However, the basic concept is that these LLC requires less attention, because again, each of these structures, in order to receive the benefit of being tax benefits and also the benefit of protecting your assets, you have to be structured right. And with the C Corp, again, you need to have the C Corp at the Secretary of State. You need to do it at the IRS. You need to get an EIN number. You need to open a bank account. You need to have articles of incorporation, operating agreement, as well as you have quarterly meetings that you have to have with a corporation. And you have to do that on the C Corp as well as on the S Corp. So you also have, as an LLC, you could be a single member, a multi-member, or you could be a professional member. Well, professional LLC. And professional LLCs, normally people who have state licenses will sometimes do a professional LLC, such as someone who has a real estate license or insurance license, a lawyer, a doctor, so on and so forth. They tend to do professional LLCs. But at the end of the day, they operate just like a regular LLC. And they still have to fill out that Form 2553 if they're going to operate as an S Corp. Okay. You have penalties. Well, the one thing I want to make you aware of, when we come back, we're going to talk about when do you file these different entities. So let's take a break. Let's check out some of the advertisement that we have and reach out to some of our sponsors. Thank you. Okay, we're back. Okay, what I'd like for you to understand about these entities is very important that you understand that a sole proprietorship, which is simply, that's just like being an individual, like you're doing your regular taxes. That sole proprietorship The taxes is due on April the 15th. It's the normal cutoff. However, these three entities here, they're due on March the 15th, a month before. I hope y'all can read my writing. Now, the other thing has to be, you have to understand, if you don't turn these in by March the 15th, then it's a $200 fine per month, per member. So if it's a single member situation, it's $200 a month until you turn them in, and it's probably some more interest or something too, but I know it's a basic $200 a month. And again, I'm not a CPA, nor am I a business attorney. So it may be some additional stuff that you will find out once you consult with a professional. I just want to give you some idea so that you won't just automatically pick a structure and just start doing business. And then you find out that you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to protect your assets and protect your family at the end of the day. So this is due on April the 15th, just like your regular taxes. March 15th, March 15th, March 15th, okay? I wanted to make sure that everyone understood that. That's very important. Okay. Again, one of the things that I've always done was I was a little biased to the C Corp because I'm always thinking about ultimately going public. So one of the things you have to understand about the C Corp is that normally when I structure a C corporation, I structure it under $1 million. I mean, 1 million shares, excuse me. Now the reason I structure it under 1 million shares is because ultimately I may want to sell shares to create capital to build a business. Okay, so when I set it up on 1 million shares, I do an evaluation of $5 a share. If you structure your company and assign 1 million shares and do a $5 evaluation, how much is your company worth? $5 million. Okay, well, I'm gonna make it easy for all of us. I hope you can read my writing. So now, on paper, you just created a $5 million company And in addition to creating a $5 million company, you can now go out and figure out how to bring investors in. So what you want to do now, you got a C corporation is worth, is 1 million shares. Each share is worth $5 million. So you got a $5 million company, and you have a, what's called, you have someone to do a private placement memorandum, okay? And for those of you who aren't familiar with a private placement memorandum, that's a way of saying a sophisticated business plan. Private placement memorandum. And that private placement memorandum, it tells you everything that a business plan tells you and then some. It tells you where all of the money that you collect, where it's going to go, is going to be dispersed, so on and so forth. None of it can go in your pocket, okay? That private placement memorandum could cost you, depending on what marketplace you're going to take it to, it could it could cost you anywhere from we're going to call it a PPM. It could cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 PPM. Okay, now that private placement memorandum attached to your corp and all the information about your business, your projections, your expenses, your costs, timelines, everything will be what you present to investors. And there's a lot of different ways to present these documents to investors. It's really what people should have when they go to Shark Tank, and they probably wouldn't get turned down as much. But with that private placement memorandum, you're able to take it to angel investors as well as venture capitalists, angel investors. Angel investors as well as venture capital. And what you're able to do is show them on paper how much money you need, what the expenses are going to be, even have enough money in there to pay all of your employees for 6 months, a year, whatever. How long it takes for, if it's a product or a invention, how long it takes to bring it to the marketplace, or whatever the case may be. And it can be used, a private placement memorandum can be used for anything. So that's why the C Corp is so important to me. Now, this is another part about this. When you do this type of structure, you end up doing, you can do a Reg D, Regulation D, 504. The Reg D 504 will allow you to raise $1 million a year. So a lot of times people are always talking about funding and going to the bank, and the bank wants to see your financials, how long you've been in business, and things of that nature. And normally you're not going to get money for a startup. So this is one of the ways to get money for a startup, by using the Reg D 504 program. And for the sake of knowing the numbers, let me see, let me get this calculator going here. So at $5 a share, that means for every 200,000 shares is $1 million. Every $100,000 worth of shares sold is $500,000. Every 200,000 shares is 1 million. Every 100,000 shares is 500,000. Every 50,000 shares is 250,000. Every 25,000 shares is $125,000. Now, as you see, you could break it down all the way down to 5,000 shares if you choose. Under the Reg D 504, well, I'm going to just put one more on here. 12,500 equals, what, 62.5. Okay, so okay, and this is the shares. Okay, so under the Reg D 504, you can have as many investors as you choose. And I was always fond of this concept, so that's why I'm showing it. But we're going to take a break, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back and explain this a little more in depth, because it may be a business that you're choosing to do in the very near future, or a business you currently have, and this is a concept you can use. Okay, we'll be right back. Thank you very much. Okay, we're back. Uh, Also, callers, give us a call. The call is at the bottom of the screen there. Give us a call if you have any questions about structuring a sole proprietorship, an LLC, a S Corp, or a C Corp. Which do you think or I think is better? Give me a call, and Coach Roy will give you an answer. It may not be what you want to use, but I'm going to give you an answer. Okay. Now, again, we were talking about taking a company, whether it's an existing company or a company that you plan to put together or an invention or whatever the case may be. We were talking about raising money through a private placement memorandum using Reg D 504, which allows you to raise $1 million a year through unsophisticated investors. You do not have to have sophisticated investors to raise money using a Reg D 504. Now, in doing so, and you don't have to stop at 12,500 shares, it could be less, okay? But as you see here, at 100,000 shares, the person give you 500,000, and this is the unique thing that I love about it. They're actually a shareholder. It's not you have a couple of friends, they give you 15, 20, 50, $100,000. They're going to their job every day, and all of a sudden they call you and say, hey, it's been about 6 or 7 months. We hadn't received any money. You know, I was talking with the wife, and we were saying, seemed like we should have gotten some money by now. Or we've been watching what you've been doing from afar. We think you need to change some things up and do this or do that. Or, yeah, I want to try and meet with you this Saturday, and so we can look at the books. No, it's not that type of structure. When you do a private placement memorandum and you sell shares, even the investors know that they will be given their dividends on a set date, whatever you set. And it may be dividends or it just may be showing them, because it may not be a profit. It'll just show them where they are or should they have gotten any money. So it eliminates that conversation, that situation, the whole 9 yards. So that's the other thing I love about a private placement memorandum. Now, when you put this private placement memorandum together, you take it to the marketplace. And when you go to the marketplace, believe it or not, you have companies that are set up that have investors and investment groups. And they allow you to come in and present. And you would send your private placement memorandum in advance. And then you will be able to come in and present and discuss it. And at the end of that presentation, the investors decide whether they want to invest money with you or not. But that document, that PPM, everything is laid out. And again, callers, please call in if you have any questions. We hadn't had any calls yet, so give me a call and I can answer any question or tell you how you need to set up or whatever the case may be. But with that PPM, you would take it to the marketplace. You could take it to angel investors. Venture capitalists. friends, family, and I've even known, depending on what your product is, I've even known it to be taken to government agencies. So once you have that document, that private placement memorandum, you ventured off into if whatever company, whatever licensing you need, whatever equipment you need, patents, whatever the case may be, all of that is in that PPM. And the investors have the option, like I showed you earlier, of buying shares in any grouping should you decide. They could buy the whole project for $5 million, or they could buy, they could buy up to $1 million per year. So then at the end of this year, if you need to go raise a second round, you could raise another round the following year. For the purposes of growing the business, purchasing things for the business, not to put in your pocket, okay? Now you're finna get in trouble. So again, I guess all this stem from me sharing with you why I like the C Corp. But even with that being said, maybe the first year I'm not going to exceed 40,000 because during that first year I'm putting a business together. I'm actually raising money and collecting money. So what can I do? I can do a C Corp. And then elect to be taxed as a S Corp. Okay, and then, let's see. Now, another thing I want to bring to your attention, because some people are W-2 employees. And they have a small business. So you're a W-2 employee, you also have a small business. So now, what structure should you use? Well, we know that you don't want to use a sole proprietorship because it doesn't protect your assets. But you can use an LLC and be taxed as a sole proprietor. But then we have to determine whether that LLC is going to make less than 40,000 or more than 40,000. Because if you're going to make, and in the first year, let's say you're going to make less than 40,000. So you do an LLC, be taxed as a sole proprietorship. That gave you your asset protection. Let's say the following year, you became a you did more than 4,000. You want to become a S Corp. You want to become a LLC. If you did more than 40,000, you want to become an LLC, taxed as a S Corp. And what that does, it allows you to pay less on the self-employment tax. But let's imagine that this W-2 employee made over 100 and, let's see, what was it in 2020? Let's say that this W-2 employee made $143,000 on their job. If that person made $143,000 on the job, then they would have exceeded or met that threshold for self-employment tax, which is Social Security and Medicaid. They will have met that threshold. So it would not be wise for them to be a S corp in that scenario. In that, because the purpose for the S corp is to save on self-employment tax. So at that point, they would they could still be a LLC at that point. They don't have to be an S corporation. Okay, so that's one of the things that comes into play when you make $143,000 on your job, and then you turn around and you have a small business and you become an S corp. Well, the purpose for the S corp is to save on self-employment tax. Well, you already met the threshold when you make $143,000 or more per year on your W-2 job. So all of these little things are very important. Tell you another scenario, and again, full disclosure, I'm not a CPA, not a business tax person or whatever the case may be. But these are some things that I've learned over the years being self-employed and dealing with income at the next level. So it's very important to understand when you start making certain income, your tax situation changes, and you need to consult a professional at that point. If you have any questions, please call in at 770-485-7724. Okay, now tell you another misconception. Since doing this show, I've been doing a lot of research and learning social media. Well, I noticed in social media, a lot of people have a misconception of active income and passive income. And again, I'm referencing passive income and active income based on how you tax. You know, I see people say that Amazon, I see them advertise, start an Amazon store and receive passive income. Well, based on the way the IRS look at Amazon store online, buying and selling, that's active income. Based on a realtor going out and selling houses and getting income from listing, that's active income. Insurance agents, active income. Okay? So, realtors, insurance agents, contractors, are all active income. So, and with active income, you got to pay self-employment tax. You got to pay self-employment tax. So, passive income is rental property. Rental property is passive income. The rent that's collected, that's passive income. So we're going to pick up with passive income. We're going to take one more break, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Okay, we're back. All right, as I was saying, we got a few minutes left, so again, give me a call if you have any questions. But passive income, rental property is passive income. And one of the most common mistakes I see with people who start a real estate group, they make it a S corp. And when you take and make it an S corp, you take yourself right back into dealing with self-employment tax, when you don't need to put a rental property into that. You put yourself right back into self-employment taxes, and it's passive income. No self-employment profit from rental property is subject to self-employment tax unless you put it in the wrong structure. That's why, again, you need to consult a CPA or a business attorney. I'm neither. However, you could give me a call and I could put you on the right path. Okay? I would love to get one call before we end tonight. So someone call in. I know you gotta have a question. I've been doing this stuff over 20 years, and I had to write me some notes just to be able to present it. And I had to try and not go too far in, because it's a lot of things that you deal with when you're putting these structures together and considering taxes and how much money you got projected to make. Because again, you got to project what you're going to make to set up the proper tax structure. But over a period of time, with the wrong structure, it could cost you a lot of money, and it adds up. And you wouldn't want to do like I did, be 10 years down the line before I started thinking about making an effort to understand business structure, tax structure, rather than just starting companies and doing what I do, then go to the accountant with a big old box of receipts and this and that. Or in most cases, I was just dealing with a tax preparer. They're only going to do what you bring them based on what you have set up. So a lot of times you need to do a little homework before you structure a company so that you can get the best tax situation, because only you know what your business is going to do or speculate. And if you did the proper research and homework, you got a good idea of what it's going to do. And understanding these tax structures of a sole proprietor, well, sole proprietorship is something you should never do. Understanding the LLC, the S Corp, and the corporation, and then determining whether the S Corp and the corporation is going to be taxed based on a S Corp or whether it's going to be taxed on a regular corporation. Those are some of the things you should consider. And there are ways you prevent yourself from being double taxed. And one of the things about that is you take and accept a salary out of that S Corp and out of your C Corp. You accept a salary. So if you had $100,000 profit, if you had $25,000, $125,000 gross, $100,000 profit, and you took a $40,000 salary, and then you took the rest of the money as a draw. When you do that, the corporation isn't taxed on the draw money, and the salary, you do the regular federal and state like any other employee, and so on and so forth. When you work the numbers out, and I know you don't quite understand what I'm saying, but when you work the numbers out, you'll save so much money on taxes. So please do your homework and research when you start dealing with these LLCs and corporations and what tax structure and so on and so forth. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and we'd like to thank our sponsors. You saw their numbers during the commercials. You can give them a call and they can help you with their services. Juanita Bradford with Bradford Realty, and Mr. Greg with the business credit. They can help you with your needs in terms of building business credit, your needs of home ownership, selling, so on and so forth. I'm going to take one call and then we're going to call it a night. Ask Coach Roy, how may I help you tonight?
Hi, Coach. This is Melissa, and I was calling to ask you a question about an LLC.
Mm-hmm.
My son just started a moving business, and he structured it as an LLC. What advice do you have for him?
Okay, structured it as an LLC. Do we have any experience in moving?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, and does he have some ready-made clientele?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Do you think his income coming in will exceed $40,000 the first year?
I think it will. The issue I'm having with him as in helping him, he doesn't know how to handle the financial part of it. And I'm in Georgia and he's in Tennessee, so it makes it kind of difficult for me to actually really be hands-on with him.
Well, what you're talking about is basically managing, let's say, the money that comes in, then the expenses, and keeping up with the paperwork, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But
Now,
I'm wondering, was the LLC the right road path to take?
it sounds like that's the right structure for him,
Uh-huh.
because it's one thing to exceed the 40,000 coming in, but then when you back out the expenses, will the net be over 40,000? That's the key question.
Right.
And if the net is not going to be over 40,000, then the LLC is the correct structure. Now, the LLC is the correct structure regardless, because he can also fill out that form 2553 and send it to the IRS and remain a LLC, but be taxed as a S corp, which is going to help save him on self-employment tax. Now, do he needs to know all the ins and outs to do this? No, he only needs to know that one part. That one part, will I exceed $40,000 my first year after I pay for my gas, after I pay for my health, after I make my truck payment, after I pay for my uniforms, after I pay for the paper, pens, pencil, after I pay for my uniforms, will he exceed 40,000? If the answer is no, just be the LLC. If the answer is yes, fill out that form 2553, and then the rest will take care of itself once he turns his paperwork in at the end of the year for taxes.
Okay.
Make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
But
And
thank you so much.
okay then, thank you for calling in.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, again, it's just that simple. Everything is based on your income projections to determine what type of entity you need to file. And again, thank you all for another great show of Ask Coach Roy. Good night, and I'll see you again 7 p.m. Monday of next week. Thank you very much.